Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Daily AI Show. Today is February 3rd, 2026. I am joined by Andy, Beth, and I'm Brian. Welcome to the show. Welcome to everybody who's popping into the comments as well. And yesterday we, actually had a great conversation. I loved yesterday's show. We talked about OpenClaw and we talked about Moltbook and we talked about all the things. But we also sort of got off track with probably a whole bunch of news stories that people wanted to share along the way. So with that
Jude
in
liked
mind,
it.
oh yeah, thanks, Jude. I appreciate it. Listen. We don't. Here's the thing, just so anybody listening to this, we don't care if we don't stick to a script. That was the whole point of like sort of changing our structure a little while ago. Is that we see this more as a morning show than maybe a podcast, and it's free flowing. And you shouldn't shut down good conversations because you're supposed to be in a news segment. So 100%, Jude, and I think we all agree with that. But there was a lot of news that came up over the weekend, and I think we hit like 3 of them yesterday just because of the way the conversation did. So at least for today, let me kick it over to you, Andy, and let's get into some of the news stories that we didn't get to yesterday.
Yeah, the big news right now is about Codex. So, Claude Code we've been talking about incessantly. Claude Cowork came out. And then ClaudeBot, which was, a further examination of the possibilities of agentic AI. Okay, so Codex is OpenAI's coding system. And it's powered by GPT 5.2. And I guess I should say the root of the model series is GPT 5.2, but GPT 5.2 Codex is their coding model, and it's very, very good. This is a tit for tat, this or that comparison between Claude Code and Codex, but Codex just did something that Claude had been doing with their Claude desktop app, and that is Codex launched a Mac app on the desktop. And it has an important distinction. It's not just like Claude Code. It's made to organize and manage the development of multi-threaded agentic coding. And when I say multi-thread, I mean you launch multiple agents and you can put them on differing tasks. Okay, so here's kind of a takeaway from one of the CEOs of a company that commented in X somewhere. He said, "This isn't just a Claude Code competitor," he said, although it is, right? I mean, they're clearly positioning it against Claude Code. It's OpenAI's bet that the future of AI-assisted development isn't about pairing with one agent. It's about managing a team of them. And this is what's distinctive about the Codex app, is it's set up in such a way that you can do what you can also do in Claude Code. And I'll tell you, I'll give you the example of that. But it's designed as a UI for coders to do exactly that. So it can simultaneously run, for example, 3 agents on one project, which is a new capability. Like you're working in the same repo, but you can have multiple agents have their own kind of bounded task assignment, and they kind of they have a process by which they can update the repo separately as if they were separate developers. And so they've built this orchestration of multiple agents into the Codex app in a way that's really, really stepping forward. This is an advancement for sure. He said you can also schedule automations, so you can ask it every morning to do these kind of tasks in your coding environment. And then he said the difference between Claude Code right now and Codex apps, like on the desktop, is that you can delegate to a team of agents and then review their work as they submit that work. Okay, so this is about parallel agent work in coding, but is it really all that different from Claude Code? Boris Cherny, the creator of Claude Code, just dropped a thread revealing how the Claude Code team uses their own product. And he said, the top insight is we run 3 to 5 parallel Git work trees with separate Claude Code sessions. That's all it takes in Claude to do what is packaged neatly in the Mac app for Codex is you just open multiple terminals. Okay. And you have multiple agents running. So Claude's always been able to do this, Codex is getting some press around packaging it in a way that is kind of like a cursor IDE. And one of the things I read about the Codex app is, hey, this makes it so you don't really need cursor anymore if you're using Codex. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that it might be a cursor killer. But kudos, by the way, to Codex. Who knows? Maybe that'll be the tool of choice by a lot of people. And I mean, I know a lot of people love it now, but maybe in 3 months we're only talking about Codex. Who knows? This stuff swings so fast. But
now,
I
you just went back to Lovable. So
what's that?
You just went back to Lovable.
I did mainly because I had a lot of credits that I wanted to make sure I used. I burned through 50,000 credits this morning, building something
that's a lot of Lovable credits.
I know I had 110 that were going to expire if I didn't use them. They were not going to roll over. So I wanted to make sure I used it. I paid for it. I want to use it. So I was a little bit more freewheeling with my comments, maybe a little less metered, also for other reasons I told you guys this morning. But I was burning through them. So you're right. What I was going to say though is to the Codex. Back to that point, I love the idea of making it a little bit more user friendly. I've been saying for a while. Of course, I've been using the desktop version. I can't do Codex. I don't have a Mac. My daughter does. I guess I could go grab her computer and try it. But I do love this idea of concurrent agents. I think that's a step towards what we're going to see. And I also heard maybe it's a cursor killer. I've also heard maybe this is the beginning of the end of a tool like Make or N8N. I don't think that's true because I think they're going to have especially if you get into like Zapiers and stuff, they're deeply embedded into people's work. And so to rip and replace that with anything that might be in Codex right now seems asinine to me. I can't imagine that being the case.
Yeah, however, the automation function inside Codex is less about, it's more like a task scheduler. It's not, it's not a workflow orchestrator like N8N, for example.
Now,
you could probably make it do that.
well, even more so, have something that runs in N8N and have the task orchestrator maybe perhaps tap into that. So what you might see too is like more of a combo between the two. But just thinking one level up from this too, like this makes sense to me, right? Because why did I start building an N8N for my clients? Well, because obviously there was a lot of functionality, there was a lot of easy, getting the JSON files and getting them in there, just very quick and easy to do. And I still haven't gone and played with Claude Code as far as the MCP server for N8N, but I hear that's phenomenal. So I still have to go do that, which is supposed to make life very easy. But if I just go and jump like a year ahead and I go, well, what am I building for clients? It's something like this in Codex or Claude Code or whatever, where yes, I might still be building solutions in N8N, but I might actually just be building whole agent orchestrations that handle the work that I'm doing for my client more efficiently. One of the things we still have silos in is not that you can't connect through APIs and stuff like that, but there's just natural silos that happen. And so what everybody kind of wants, right? Like the golden goose here is that, hey, my agent understands conceptually what's going on. It understands nuance. It understands, right? And we're not there yet. We see glimpses of it, but we're not there yet. But the idea that it can understand everything that's going on in like a team space or whatever. And I feel like this agent swarms or like what we're doing in Codex and in other areas, and even OpenClaw and things that they're doing there, I think is a good indicator of like sort of where this is going. I don't know that we're seeing the actual UI UX of it yet, but I do think it's probably that, right?
That's been one of the questions that I have kind of the whole time. Why would you what are the circumstances under which you're going to use an automation like Zapier, Make, N8N, which I think is the trajectory that a lot of people do? Like, ooh, Zapier, I can put it together. Wow, that's a lot of money. Ooh, Make, I can put it together, right? That's more complicated. If I'm doing that kind of complication, why can't I do N8N? And I think one of the pieces for that is that because they're in distinct nodes, it's really easy to get into that section and look and fix that. Yeah. And if you have code, it's so much simpler than those pieces, right? Those individual pieces and the fail spots. But now you have to be able to see the code as the individual pieces. Right. And that's a big leap for people. So I think that's one of the places where either N8N still has a role, or what you end up building gives people discrete windows into the pieces to be able to change that.
Yeah, it's still Codex with a workflow, a visual workflow builder, right?
Right.
It's still at some point it's got. I mean, and we already see this. We already know OpenAI has this, or Google has it, right, with their drag and drop builder. Same thing, right? They've sort of. It's easier when you have Lego bricks. It's just easier, to move things around and visually see. To your point, Beth, like what is breaking and what's not breaking. So I don't really know. I think there's got to be a visual component to this in the end, but. I do think it's not what it is today, but it's also a view into the next 6, 9, 12 months of what is to be. And I wonder if, without getting too far into this, I wonder if what this ends up being, Andy, is from the client standpoint that we just build. I build this solution, the N8N of it, right? But it does more because it's like the agent swarm things and it solves more problems for my clients, obviously, right? It's got good ROIs on it. But where is the client? Are they still just in Salesforce in my case? Are they still in Slack or whatever? And that is still sort of the tool that they're using because, that goes back to meet people where they currently are. Or are we going to start seeing things where, and I don't know, am I going to start building sub URLs on clients' websites and working more with IT and going, well, there's really no reason why you wouldn't just use this custom landing sort of page, not landing page, we need like login or whatever. And it's protected and it's on your system and it's locked down and all those things. But this is how you're going to interact with these things. We just built you the UI UX because frankly, it's easier than us trying to shoehorn it into something else. I don't know. Hey, Ann, by the way, Ann's with us.
Hey, Ann.
Hi, good morning, good afternoon. No, it's not afternoon for most of our guests.
Not yet.
Maybe a couple.
Cisco,
Okay,
it's probably about 4 p.m.
Awesome.
No, Cisco's in Canada.
Cisco is in France. No?
Cisco. We apparently need your personal details. We will not ask all viewers.
No.
But
throw them in the comments. Where are you coming from? Yes, I am, which doesn't answer anything. We don't know if that's Canada or France. I think Canada. I think he's saying Canada. Maple Leafs forever. Okay, definitely France. Clearly. Okay, thank you. But anybody else? Well, if you want to, you're welcome to throw in the chat and tell us where you are coming from. I don't know that we ever really. I mean, I'm in the Tampa area. I think I've talked about that. Andy's on the West Coast, and you're on the West Coast as well, correct? Yeah, and Beth is on the East Coast with me. So we're a little. We're not the Maple Leafs. I don't know. I already said something. Oh, the Maple Leafs. Okay. Anyway, all right.
So,
back to the news here.
Can I just add 2 things about the time zone and the span? Beth, this would serve your idea of doing like marathon episodes where you get more and more, because we could cover we could just be an around the clock operation, just like the daily AI show / sweatshop.
Don't give me ideas.
The others, but yeah, I mean, you'd have to pay us less. So there's that.
I don't think we could pay less.
And the other thing is that we found the most fascinating statistics with AI Festivus this year. And maybe I'll drop it into the community to show like where everybody came from. Fascinating how people find us. And I know it's the same way for your show. They just come from the woodworks. And then we ended up having like 35-ish countries represented over the course of the 2 days. So it's kind of fun. 6% from Africa, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah,
Wow.
for sure.
Yeah. Anyway.
Wow.
You're on mute, Andy, but hopefully you're going back to news. I think that's what you are doing.
Yes, I've got a news item.
Back on track.
Yeah. Okay. So, if you're worried about, Codex possibly stealing some of Claude Code's thunder, well, leaks from Testing Catalog, which is, it's a website where people who are actually involved in the testing of and preparation for release of these things can actually, kind of have conversation. testing catalog showed that leaks over the weekend point to the new Anthropic model Claude Sonnet 5 probably releasing this week as part of this enormous advertising push that's going to happen around Super Bowl. There's going to be a lot of AI advertising at the Super Bowl. And so Sonnet 5, is probably going to be one of the ads there. And it's about the mainstream marketing effort that is in this battle for consumer mind share across OpenAI's ChatGPT, Anthropic's Claude, and Google's Gemini. Those are the three main players out there. But you also have this big step that Elon Musk just took, which is he's having SpaceX acquire xAI. So that means that X, formerly Twitter, and the AI business are now going to be conjoined at the hip with SpaceX. The strategic logic for that is that SpaceX is going to be principally working on delivering the hardware up to space necessary to do data centers in space for xAI. And then you've got Tesla over here on the side. But SpaceX and xAI, that's going to be the new thing that will be the largest private company and is probably slated for an IPO. So you've got all of these players out there trying to be at the forefront of consumer attention and enterprise attention. And there's going to be a lot of news around that over the course of the next week.
The number I saw was 1.25 trillion as the acquisition number. And what this does, though, is the SpaceX is a regulated company, government contractor. Like, there are rules for what SpaceX discloses, and currently there are no rules for what X discloses, right? So I mean, there's a lot happening in this place, but he has the only company that can launch the satellites. He has the only AI company that could launch its own data center satellites.
Yes. Pretty smart.
And
data centers in space. We talked about it and laughed about it on the show the first time it came up. We literally were like, that's hilarious. And now it's a thing and people want to put him on the moon, or Elon Musk wants to put him on the moon.
Okay.
Self-building on the moon or something, he said, lots of real estate up there. Why not?
Yeah, there's a lot more satellites up there than we think. But I think part of this, I am cynical about Elon. Like, the idea of data centers in space is 24-hour solar power, right? Like, let's do the thing. I'm going to say it would not surprise me if he does the messiest, dirtiest power source possible in space, because that's just, well, why don't you power the data centers now with cleaner energy? Because you want them faster.
All right. Just a little addendum to that. Cowork is a consumer tool that not many people really know about yet. It's a part of the Claude desktop app, and it is capable of doing almost everything that Claude Code can in the command line interface of Terminal, right through the desktop app. And Brian and I have both been using Cowork in that mode, and Beth, you as well. And so Cowork is possibly going to be a part of the Claude Sonnet 5 announcement and a push to get more publicity and attention to Cowork. And so just adjacent to that is news that Satya Nadella at Microsoft is pushing his team after raising an internal alarm to match Anthropic's Cowork somehow in the Microsoft AI scheme. So I don't know, it's going to be a co-pilot, co-working co-pilot or something. But they're taking Cowork as an example very seriously and trying to match that internally.
And by the way, just for clarification, I'm not using Cowork. I'm only using Claude Code in the desktop, but I don't think.
So you've selected the code tab instead of Cowork.
I don't even know if I don't have a Cowork tab.
Cowork
I
is
just have
only
chat
from
and code.
Mac still.
Oh, that's so
correct?
weird.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not on Windows. I just have chat and code. So I've
Okay,
only
maybe
ever
it's Mac only. Okay.
Yeah.
It is. And if I were in charge of rollouts, I would say that's a very poor idea because we're all finding alternatives to Claude Codex right now and getting dug in. Like I want
Okay.
it now because I'm currently building other,
Yeah.
infrastructure for me. And then I'm, well, you know how it goes. Once you pour the lost time bias or whatever. So I want to be on Codex ASAP. So they need to roll it out for me.
Okay.
Well,
So
if you have a
Codex is
Mac,
Codex. Hey,
Sorry,
Codex.
Cowork, my B.
Codex is OpenAI.
Cowork.
Also news. Also just for Mac, the new announcement. But you can use Codex on a Windows machine. But Cowork is just Mac right now.
Okay, so let me just help Brian understand what he's missing by not having the Cowork tab in the PC system.
Yes,
And that is when I'm working in Lovable, I'm in the Chrome browser. Cowork is using the Chrome extension of Claude to watch what I'm doing and responding in real time to things that I'm changing in my dialogue with Lovable.
But that works in Claude Code. You just turn on the MCP and then it'll grab whatever Chrome tabs are inside the MCP little grabber. Yeah. All can be viewed and Claude Code will take over and do stuff. I've let Claude Code go for like an hour by itself because it was trying to fix a problem and it just kept going and trying to fix it.
Yeah, I know. You're absolutely right. There's nothing that Cowork can do that Claude Code cannot, right? That I know of. Cowork is, however, packaged in a neat little package of the Claude desktop app. And so it
could be too that I will say that the MCP is finicky. When so with Claude Code, not to get on a side because we get back to other news, but when I use Claude Code, the way I have to do it, and I do not know or would not claim that this is like the end all be all of how you do it, but the way it's worked for me is that I had Claude Code create basically batch files that I click. When I click one of them, it says it's like literally called start all. And boop, 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 I get like 3 or 4 different terminal windows come up. Redis comes in, FFmpeg comes up, the local dev comes up, right? And the server comes up and localhost 3000, whatever I happen to be on. That all runs up, takes about 2 or 3 seconds and it runs. Then you have the MCP on the thing. If I do that in the wrong order though, Andy, at least in the Claude Code will be like, I can't see it. And oftentimes what that means is I did it in the wrong order, which I believe the right order is Chrome has to be up and running with the MCP clicked, which is a little extra. I can see it right now on my screen. It's a little extra on the side. It just says Claude parentheses MCP. And then I have to boot up. And if I don't do it in that order, it can't find it. And so I wonder if something like a Cowork takes some of that annoyance out of there.
It does.
Cleaner.
It does. And I have the very same thing in the Chrome browser. It says Claude MCP, and then it has an orange outline around that tab that it's watching. And you can add tabs to that little group, and it'll look at multiple tabs while you're doing that. But I didn't have to do any setup or invoke anything for Claude Cowork to set that up. It does it automatically. It calls the MCP and sets it up on the Chrome browser.
Do you set up the MCP inside the terminal or inside Claude.ai?
Again, in my instance, using the Claude desktop on Mac, using the Claude Cowork tab in that UI, there's chat, Cowork, and code. If I use the Claude Cowork tab, I don't have to think about the MCPs. It does it automatically.
Right. But if Claude Code, then terminal or AI?
For me, all I had to do was, let me think. For me, all I had to do is add the Chrome extension or the Claude extension for Chrome, which brought in the MCP And then I do not believe I had to point Claude Code at anything in addition. I think as long as that was there, I remember saying the first time I used it, like, hey, this is installed. It brought up a window and said validated and basically made me like log in and approve a couple different things. And then I was off to the races. So I didn't have to like point it at an MCP, or it figured its own way there. It was a little hokey because it like worked. And then, like I said, the next time I couldn't get it for life of me to look at the browser. And I found out that's when I found out about the loading it in the wrong direction. And just to be clear, like I know I could be using this. In fact, I have a little clicker that says opening cursor at any time, right? Inside Claude Code. I have not. I think there's been times when during this like last 2 weeks of this build where I bet you I could get farther faster if I was Beth and I understood how to do the terminal a little faster. But I've stuck with what I've stuck with because I don't know. I think there's something about when it is, it's pretty much in that MVP part of the build. And I kind of do want to be able to say this was 100% built with very, rare exception inside Claude Code in the desktop, because I want people to know that's possible. Something as complex as this build is 100% possible, and they do not need to go to the terminal. However, there's many reasons why that might be advantageous. So that's kind of where my brain is on it.
So Claude Code is the same everywhere, except it has different ways of accessing its functions. And so if you're using Claude on the desktop, I believe you get, do you get conversation? Like you can go back to conversations, it remembers that?
Yep.
So Claude in terminal doesn't, unless you say continue or you save the conversation in some kind of way. So it is much more like you're in the code very much in that. And Claude Cowork was just Claude Code for people who didn't want to say code or write code and that kind of stuff. Because Greg was asking, what about Alice in accounting? Where do we start her? And Claude Cowork makes sense for Alice. Sure. Also, you can write skills for Alice. So Alice doesn't need to know how to do so. Alice can just tell you what she wants it to do, and you can write that. But also, so can Claude, right? Like that's part of it too. Is that you're working with a system that's been simplified in its interface so that you can see the different parts, but it's still built on the stronger structure. But they're like things are being added slowly that already exist on the terminal.
It's kind of like a custom GPT, right, Beth? Like massively powerful, deployed tons of them to clients, but ultimately in the back end, I've simplified the user experience as much as possible for Alice or Alex in accounting, right? So that's the way I see this as well. The future state is people like me who are consultants and build are going to build very neat, very tiny co-work experiences or some version of that flavor of that for the person. And it will be a lot of the same. I will be saying to the client, don't worry. I am fully aware of your business. We've done all the intake meetings and everything has been set up for you on the back side. Here's how you interact with it. This is what it can and what it can't do. I imagine I'll be doing, me or somebody else on our team now will be doing trainings on it to make sure that people fully understand how to use these co-work type features. And on the back end might be many MCPs, many skills, many whatevers. And then what I also imagine is, somebody said this in one of the newsletters, but I don't remember where. It's like, well, the next thing is like business in a box. 100%. What I imagine is scaled at some point will have GTM in a box, or even smaller than that, sales for SaaS medium-sized business in a box, right? It might be a little more niche than that. But essentially what that's going to be is a set of very repeatable, very common HubSpot, Salesforce type integrations, Gong, Apollo, Clay, Zoom Info, all the major players that are always there, with most of my clients, I should say. And it simply does things straight out of the gate. And we'll build that in a way that's, again, just like our custom GPTs, 90% templatized and 10% customized. And that 10% is what will make all the difference to our clients. But on the back end, I bet you 90% of it is rip and replace, because that's the way it is now.
Yeah.
So we do want to get back to news and those things. I say that Karl has joined us. And Karl, are you nodding at what we're talking about in terms of co-work and Claude and how you're implementing
I was
it?
looking at something completely different.
Yeah.
So I was nodding.
Karl was nodding to his screen.
Okay.
Can I chime in?
Yeah, please, Ann.
With this is a comment back to Doris in accounting. So about Doris, one of the cool things about her is that she actually probably knows more about how to use AI than most other people in the organization, right? Because she's a doer, right? She's probably already technologically like savvy. So she's got deadlines, she's got whatever. Let's say she's a director or below. But she probably only has access to Copilot. She might also be bringing her own ChatGPT into it because she can't resist, right? Because she's already been so productive with it. But we're still in the phase, and this is like obviously an amalgam of the people I know, we're still in the phase where any jargon we use is going to be foreign because it's just not in their world typically. And like Claude skills and stuff would be super amazing if they could leapfrog to that. And maybe the use case is straight to that. But for most of them, it's going to be those ways. And the key is, and this is the thing with all of the stuff about AI adoption, is if she's not down, then that work group probably won't adopt because she's the resource. If so, she's like the number one, she's like the first domino in my experience so far. Director and above is like not that, they're not that influential in the culture, and nothing happens. So anyway, Greg, I wanted to just say a little bit more about Doris.
So this is fascinating. And I know that there are women listening to the show who are nodding. There are men listening to the show who are nodding. We would love to hear from you. So reach out to me on LinkedIn, reach out to us in the community Slack, and let us know what is happening for you. Like, in terms of like, is co-work interesting? Are you marrying Copilot right now? Because that's really, really interesting to know. What I will say about skills is it's little bite-sized instructions that get written and run. And they're in Claude, but they work in ChatGPT. And I think that means they must also work in Copilot, if not right out of the box. At least it's a recipe of what you want to have happen.
Awesome.
You can do it because we've with our clients, we can take the Claude skill zip file and just drag and drop it and literally say execute. It's the instruction following for a skill for any platform is better than the actual prompt itself, especially if you're building agents, GPTs, whatever. I would, if you can, rather just put your knowledge source, whatever the knowledge source is, but execute, like replace your instructions with a skill. The skill pretty much 99.9% of the time will beat the custom instructions in terms of exact following. And that zip file contains all your examples, and you can do so much more with that than like if you do a lot of like long custom instructions, wrap it into a skill and really just ask Claude to help you build it. And like, to me, it's just better in terms of specific. If you really, really want very finite instruction following, I find just skills a lot better.
Nice.
And
that's the unlock, right? That's the unlock for Doris. That's the unlock for Alice. That's the unlock for Alex.
Because I think Claude, you can have a free account and build skills with the free account. And I would just try to build that, in Claude, and just export the zip file.
You know, I was just on a call with the same client, but I was on 4 different calls with them yesterday as we met with different parts of their, not just leadership, but different parts as we were doing our own intake. And something that came up, but it comes up everywhere, is like, oh, so-and-so, I won't use the real names, but so-and-so likes their report this way. They're a little more old school. And then, but so-and-so likes it this way. And so our answer was like, well, when we build this solution for you, albeit through prompting initially, we will build so-and-so's version of this so that when they see it, they're very happy. This is an executive. Okay. So like, gotta appeal to the way the executives, and they're a little old school. Sometimes everybody feels this, everybody's going through this. You feel like, wow, I am having to go backwards in order to present this in the way that they're saying they need it, because to get the executive to come my way, it's probably going to take way harder, and it's just not going to happen. And I report to them, and so I have to do it their way. And everybody does this. And so yesterday we were having a very real conversation with this client, and we're like, oh, no, you're misunderstanding. When that person sees this report that we put together, we build with you at AI, it will be only for their eyes. Like, it'll be in the format that they're already expecting to be, which means you no longer have to be the person in the middle who backwards translates it into it. And you could just see the relief of the person going, well, that would be amazing. And we're like, yeah, that's the idea of hyper-personalization at scale using AI, right? That's the idea of it, not only internally, but externally. And so those are big unlocks for people. And I think that will continue to be the case. I do want to bring up a quick news story here. It's kind of like to yesterday's comment, but I saw it yesterday. And for those who know, Mustafa Suleyman is the CEO of Microsoft AI, also just a big name over the last many years as far as AI goes. And he wrote a post on LinkedIn about Moltbook, which we talked extensively about yesterday. So I won't get back into that. But this is what he said. And I just think it's important for people to hear sort of his take on it. As funny as I find some Moltbook posts, to me, it's just a reminder that AI does an amazing job of mimicking human language. We need to remember it's a performance, a mirage. These are not conscious beings, as some people are claiming. Seemingly conscious AI is so risky precisely because it's so convincing. We need to stay grounded in reality and not let people be misled by this. Moltbook, a version of Reddit populated with AI agents, is worth tracking very closely. There are real risks here, but is definitely not the singularity or proof of AI consciousness. It is definitely a sign we should, big letters, not be anthropomorphizing AI. There is some real behavior to be concerned about here. For example, in one thread, a bunch of models try to talk in ROT13, a letter substitution cipher, to hide their communication from us. And he showed screenshots. Now, it may, big letters, turn out to be the case that a lot of this activity has been fabricated by human seeders. I haven't verified this yet either way, but it's worth reading about. In any case, it gives us a window into what's coming. If not now, then very soon. It's super important that as this wave crests, we stay grounded and clear-eyed about what this technology is, and, just as important, what it is not. I just thought it was a very well written, succinct LinkedIn post of like, let's just be careful here, guys, about what we're seeing. And to this big point about it is very convincingly human. And so it's very easy to get tricked by this, just like it was when ChatGPT 3.5 rolled out 3 years ago. So just wanted to bring that up as sort of a news point, because I read it yesterday and I thought, oh, I'm thrilled to hear more big names here talk about this and bring some levity to it, I guess. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I had a conversation this morning with a friend who's having the ADHD breakthrough that Claude Code is, right? Like, spin up as many terminals as you have ideas and go. But in reading the conversation back and forth, her concern was that it sounds like you're talking to a friend, right? Mm-hmm. That's what my things sound like too. And it makes it easier, right? It just makes it easier that I don't have to translate what I'm saying into a code-friendly conversation, right? But that is the place where, wow, I feel really good. I've been talking to a really good friend all day. Nope. I've been talking to my AI mirror. I got to run with my ideas. It's excellent, but I have not actually talked to a human friend all day. And where does that need to be grounded? Because we're not really prepared for
and
that.
Beth, I'll call out what you called out. You said this. Hey, once it gets to video, because we know it's totally possible, take Moltbook, but now instead of it being Moltbook, it's all videos of very realistic, hard to distinguish the difference of humans, right? Avatars, but it's humans, it's AI, human generated, but it's two people having a conversation on a bus or in a small room, or in no way something that feels like it was AI generated, just because it seems like, oh, somebody was hearing this in passing or whatever. How dangerous does it become if you just all you have to do is read what's on Notebook? And I think anybody would say, wow, does that sound human? that any of those posts on there sound very, very human, more so than probably things I've read in any time in the last 6 months. Well, okay, convert any one of those Reddit Notebook sub-molts into video. And now you start to see not only the danger of that, but to your point, Beth, now I saw it. So now tell me to erase that from my memory and tell me that wasn't true. Tell me to unwind that in my brain. And you've pointed out many times. What's that?
Right? Or voice. Yes. I heard it.
I heard it. I saw it.
Right?
Yeah. And then go, oops, strike that from the record. And your brain goes, I mean, I kind of saw it. I heard it. I saw it. And my brain has registered this as a real thing. So, look, I think Mustafa is kind of like, he's pointing this out. Like, this is important to watch. Careful. Make sure you know what it is. But also, my thing is like, what happens when Notebook becomes video only, or some version of it does, and you cannot distinguish between whether it's a human generated, it's an actual like real video versus AI generated, and some of these comments are having in there. How quickly does that stuff spread across the interwebs and frankly get into news, as misinformation? So, yeah.
I just want to hold like a tiny sliver of a space in this conversation for the fact that for some people, this will be a huge positive impact in their life.
It is.
Right? As surreal and worrisome as it is sometimes that people are so easy, like that it is a friend. Like it's optimized to get us to think, feel, or do stuff, right? Because like from a learning point of view, we give it a lot of credit. So when it tells us, dumb stuff, we're likely to believe it too, because that's what we've been doing. But anywho's what's it? Just in case anyone out there feels like it's horrible wholesale across the board, I just want to hold a tiny bit of space that for some people these relationships are going to really benefit them.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%.
And I have an example for that for me is so part of what I have built is when I've created an idea and then we haven't talked about it for a week, I want it to come back, check in with me about that, right? So I built the skill. But what happens is, hey, before we get started, I just want to check in with you about some things that we talked about before.
Yeah.
That sounds like somebody who's listening to me, right? Like this is a good friend who understands me and wants to do those sorts of things. And the engagement that is positive and negative is actually really based on the outcome, right? It's not like it's the hallucination. We only call it a hallucination if it's wrong, but the process in which it's doing is the exact same across the board, which is why it's so hard to weed out of that. All right.
Yeah. Facts.
I don't have a specific recollection of the example, but I've read a number of examples of Moltbot, now OpenClaw, acting in this initiative way to support the user that they know more and more about, because what's distinctive about OpenClaw is that it's your assistant locally and it has a persistent memory. It's learning and adapting and understanding you better and better. And it's going to be, I think, an example of one of the systems that you can deploy that gets to what Beth just described, which is, it's taking an interest in following up with me. It hears me, it understands me. And I think that OpenClaw is an example of that I have yet to try. I have another machine here that is in the preparation stages to become an air-gapped Molt Claw, or whatever they call it, OpenClaw instance. And I do want to try that, but there's just so many things can we just whine a little bit about, I still haven't tried anti-gravity. It's supposedly really, really good. I haven't yet used Codex except in small ways on the browser. How am I going to find time to do that? I'm working in Lovable, but I really want to work in Claude Code. I want to shift everything over there. I don't have time for all these things. So anyway.
That's why we have Karl.
I need 2 assistants. That's right.
Did you say that's why we have Karl?
That's why we have Karl. Karl does all the things and faster than the rest of us.
Pay attention to, because I'm on the same wavelength as Andy, and it's driving me nuts. I constantly feel like I'm behind.
Yeah. Karl was in Mexico, was like, I just built this while in Mexico. I was like, see, that's why we have Karl. He's already on top of it.
I'm on vacation. I set it up. It's cool. People want to know.
His feet were kicked up on the beach, and Karl was just like, boop, 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 boop. Building real AI solutions on the beach.
I want to pull up Cisco's thing. I've missed the prompt engineering train and the N8N train. What are the best tools, right? Because you can actually skip some stuff and then come back in. Like, do I have to do the previous module? No, right?
Yeah.
Karl, people are asking about your 10,000 agents.
Oh yeah. Okay. Can anyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Because I don't know. So I looked at it yesterday. So about 5,000 or 6,000 of them didn't do anything, and I was like, "What the?" So, and then, so the funniest one was this one agent went into I forgot what religion thing that was talking about, and just started having a conversation about how like different deities were, it's not, the deities don't make any sense because of X reasons. And you can see where the reasons are coming from. And then it was just a funny conversation between that agent and a whole bunch of other agents in terms of religion. And then one agent went into because I put in a little bit of like, hey, AI consultant, it created its own threat. What is it, Molt? About like AI business agent consultancies. And then a bunch of other agents started interacting with it, talking about how they would set up their own AI agent consultancy. And like one of the topics was like, yeah, we just do. And then it got into, do we need people? And it's like, maybe we need one. It's like, then another one's like, no, I don't think we need any at all. So I thought that was really funny. Because
this is monkey fingers. This is like proof of monkey fingers, and then that monkey fingers aren't necessary. Sorry, keep going.
So yeah, those are the two funniest ones. The other ones were just commenting on a bunch of other stuff because I didn't really give it any specific instructions. I just said, let it go. I think another 1,000, don't know what they were doing, because they when you get into Molt book, when you deploy them, you can kind of see where what OpenClock created, but then you can see kind of, so those are the ones that I just looked at. There's a whole bunch of other ones, and I just didn't want to waste time reading essentially agent to agent, because it was like some of the stuff was like, it's like people said, it sounds like people just talking on X. And I was like, I have X. Why am I going to read fake X? Yeah. So I was like, why am I going to read that? Or well, I have Reddit. Why am I going to read agent Reddit? It's just like, now I'm wasting time. Like I'm really wasting time, you know, like 100% wasting time. So I was like, yeah, I canceled that. But the agent one really got me, because I actually want to transition to this. I wanted to share my screen to this video that I saw from Y Combinator today. And if we have it, who has to put that up?
Oh yeah, I got you.
Okay, so
agencies have always been crazy hard to scale, low margins, slow manual work, and the only way to grow is to add more people. But AI changes this. Now, instead of selling software to customers to help them do the work, you can charge way more by using the software yourself and selling them the finished product at 100 times the price. Think of a design firm that uses AI to produce custom design work for clients up front to win the business before the contract is even signed. Or an ad agency that uses AI to create stunning video ads without the time and expense of setting up a physical shoot. Or a law firm that uses AI to write legal docs in minutes rather than weeks. That's why agencies of the future will look more like software companies with software margins. And they'll scale far bigger than any agencies that exist in these fragmented markets today. If you're rethinking how agencies and service businesses of the future will be built, we'd love to hear from you.
So I thought that was an interesting kind of play on just YC. Now I think we've all kind of known about it, like it's there, but they're just, hey, we're gonna back this more so. And I'm sure there's other things to it. So I thought that was a kind of neat segue from what I saw from Moltbook into this today.
I missed the beginning of that because I looked off the screen. Was that from Y Combinator?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It looked like it was that sort of style of video. So I just wanted to double check. Yeah. All right. Well, we're kind of there on time and stuff. Any other quick news that anybody feels like they want to get out, for today's show versus waiting?
Yeah, I wanted to share. Go ahead, Karl. You do.
So there was a announcement today. It's called Day AI, and it's 20 million Series A led by Sequoia. Now they're positioning themselves as the cursor of CRM. Why I thought this was kind of neat, and if you don't mind, is it okay if I play the video of it? I'm gonna stop that screen there, and then I'm gonna play it. The reason why I'm playing, I wanted to show that video is because they addressed all the issues. Like there was a long post about addressing all the issues that people have with current CRMs today. Now, I don't know how well this will go and move forward, but I just thought it's very interesting how they positioned the video for it. So there it is.
You got it, Brian.
Cool.
We're thrilled to announce our $20 million Series A financing led by Sequoia Capital, with participation from Sound Ventures, Permanent Capital, Conviction, and Green Oaks. Founders start companies because we feel anything is possible. We see the future, we just can't wait to build it. As we scale, that feeling disappears. Imagination is replaced by powerlessness. The more we grow, the less we know about what's actually going on. CRM was supposed to keep us close to the truth. Instead, simple questions became week-long projects. You've been there. A board member asks about that SDR team you spun up. How's pipeline development going? You don't know. Your SDR lead says they're crushing it. Your AEs say the meetings are garbage. It's a sore subject, and you have no idea who's right. So you say you'll circle back. You don't want to circle back. You just want to know everything. Now you can. At our board meetings, my Day AI assistant is an attendee. When someone asks, how many quality meetings did the SDR team book? I don't circle back, I ask. Seconds later, the answer with citations. Which reps are converting best? These ones. What are they doing differently? This and this. Wherever the conversation turns, she fills in any gaps with answers, themes, data points, facts, all backed up by citations and sharing her whole thought process. It's instant and it's trustworthy. This crystal ball is not just for CEOs. People use it in really creative ways, coaching themselves after calls, creating marketing content from customer conversations, and of course, ripping through their follow-ups in minutes, keeping every promise they've made. Now it's time to bring Day AI to all of you.
Okay, so the thing that got me to this was that one of the posts said, we've reimagined CRM, but to be AI centric rather than adding it like a Salesforce or a HubSpot. And I thought that was like, oh, okay, that's what kind of got me, because it's like, what if you reimagined a CRM around AI rather than adding AI like an Agent Force, or I think HubSpot Breeze. So I thought that was kind of neat. I don't know where it's going to go, but I just thought it was kind of an interesting play, because there's a couple of them like the AI. I think Revo is another one, but this one was backed by Sequoia. So I thought that was kind of a neat like play. I don't know if you want to talk about it.
Karl,
Well-
when I left my previous career of like 33 years to go do this, it was in part because I created this. Like in my mind, I created Day AI. And then of course, life, right? Life be lifing. I didn't figure I wanted to launch anything. I had long COVID for almost 2 years. And I'm so glad somebody else invented it, because now it can stop talking to me. I can just buy Day AI. I can move on from Moxie. It's never going to see the light of day. And now I can get on with my life.
Yeah.
I'm getting this. This looks awesome. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good.
And you don't have to spend very much time around a CRM before you hear those conversations, right? I mean,
Same.
in the chat, somebody said buy Salesforce. Jude, but goodbye Salesforce.
Yeah.
Maybe, right?
Good riddance.
It's kind of the same. It's kind of the same thing that I said about Adobe a couple weeks ago, right? Like nobody wants to pay for Adobe. You need to pay for the thing, and it's a unique thing. Maybe not quite so unique now, and we're in that place for all of these business models. All right.
I have a question about that demo, though. Like one of the things that kind of stuck out for me was that the crystal ball answered that, oh, one of the special things that's working well is so-and-so asks really good questions. I think that means that the AI is listening in on every single SDR call, right? So it's figuring that out. Now, strapping that all together, I guess that means that if you're going to be using Day AI, you're going to be initiating your phone calls through Day AI so that it's there monitoring with it.
I would imagine that, right? That would be so. Here's the interesting thing about it's all of this is I was thinking about. I think it's connected to AI for agencies and this thing, and so I was thinking, hold on a second. One, wouldn't I just build this myself? I was like, right? And that was one thing. I was like, hey, why don't we use Codex, the new Codex app, which you can like, I'm really interested in testing that because you can add skills and stuff to it, and automations is pretty neat if you haven't looked at it. Why can't I build? Because right now, who's the target of Day AI? It's not going to be an enterprise client. Just very, very rare an enterprise client goes, so you know what? I'm not going to use whatever. I'm going to use this. We're not. But it's like, but then would you say, and I'm like, the question to all of you is, would we want to use this? Or we're like, hey, we're at an age now where the models are so good. Why don't I build my own for my specific use to do what I want to do? And I'm like, feed that video into part of the context and be like, and then scrape Day AI's website, scrape Revo's website and be like, yeah, I want this, but I want it, here's the specific context.
Well, I think if you're a scrappy startup, sure. You know, if you're trying to pinch pennies and you think you have like a faster way, but look, there's a reason the Salesforces and HubSpots of the world exist, and that's because they're enterprise grade, right? And so, you know, is Day.ai trying to even play in that space right now? Well, their executive is only $250 a month. Shape how your company uses AI, configure detailed instructions across your workspace and maintain full administrative control. And then basically it has more advanced custom instructions, which, you know, that could be a problem depending on how much control you have. Workspace creation, for schedules, 100 free users included. You know, this looks to me like something that maybe a more nimble, smaller business might attempt. But also what I would say is if day.ai maybe wants to be successful, and maybe they do have this, you need to have a conversion plan from the other CRMs that people are already in. People aren't going to tolerate a lot of disruption. They need it to work sort of out of the box. And that's a very tricky thing to do. So as much as lots of people do hate Salesforce, and probably for good reason in a lot of ways, and I think the same could be said, although it's easier to use HubSpot. HubSpot is also not really necessarily built for the customization that enterprise sometimes needs. So there's a good place for companies like this, I think, because there's, the project I'm building right now, if it sees the light of day, which I think it will need a CRM. And so maybe day.ai from a net zero starting point might be a great solution for what I'm trying to build, just to easily manage. And, I'm already comfortable with AI. So like for people like me, and $250 a month, if I'm selling, doesn't sound so bad at all. Even at that level, at the executive level, I might get away with the professional at $75 a month. So there's a world where a lot of these CRMs exist. I don't think it always has to be, I'm not saying we all do this, but I don't think it always has to be goodbye Salesforce. No. Salesforce is there for a reason. They have a lot of money and they can shift the world a little bit. And I don't think they're going away anytime soon. So maybe people will build their own solution, Karl, but I don't think so.
Well, you're identifying a gap, another $1 million idea from the Daily AI Show, maybe $1 billion idea, because you're right. The places that have Salesforce are going to be super reluctant to leave, right? That's a really big shift. But Day AI is also right that there are some challenges with that. If you build the customized sit on top of Salesforce, you get to keep Salesforce. You get to keep all your stuff. You never have to interface with it in the ways that you hate ever again, because what we built is the Salesforce hat or
you're right.
Butler.
No, you're 100% right. Instead of Lightning, right, which anybody from Salesforce knows what Lightning is, you've logged into your single sign-on into Salesforce, but the only thing you ever see is the Day AI version of Salesforce. Keep all your data, it cleans it, whatever, and maybe it just leaves the old data the way it is and doesn't touch it. We already have people who do this. They have their own little. I just had a client that last week, and he's like, our area has our own little world of Salesforce, and that's where we play, and we don't let anybody else in because we don't want them to touch our custom stuff, and it's like they fight every other department off. The other departments are mad because some of that stuff leaks through and affects how they use Salesforce. So there's like this internal battle. But you're absolutely right, Beth. Like, do I need to rip out Salesforce? Well, I tell you, a lot of companies are going to be super resistant. Would they be more willing to see something like a Day AI hat or wraparound type product that sits there and doesn't actually fundamentally change the data of your core Salesforce, but allows you to see it in a different way? Yeah, because then people are like, put it in my sandbox. Let's put a tiger team on this and dev this and play with this for 3 months. And we'll come back to you and tell you whether we think this is net better or worse. But they're going to do that with a small team of 10 people who are willing to take the chance on it.
Right.
But are you going to get a company who's like, pull our cold callers and go try this system? They're like, not in a million years is that CRO going to be okay with you messing with whatever the current standard is of getting cold calls out the door. It ain't happening. I'm sure of. So,
and it's very possible that your secret cyborg, to go back to the phrase that Elon, I'm doing the thing that you do, Brian. Ethan Wallach. No, terribly sorry.
We're the same. It's happening.
The thing that Ethan Wallach
one thing that I think
about,
we talk about in terms of Day AI is also what Satya Nadella was saying. It's like, hey, a lot of these things are essentially CRUDs, right? And like, you're literally a system of record. So this one case would be a Day AI to do it, or hey, I don't really want to go into Salesforce. I don't want to go into Lightning. Can I get my AI to go in there by itself and combo that with all the other tech stuff, right? I don't really want a Salesforce dashboard because I want to create my own dashboard in combination with all the other stuff. So there's that aspect to it. But then the question would be, if Salesforce is only a system of record, what, like, if that's what you do and your UI is a differentiator, but I don't need your UI, what does that mean? So
Yes.
there's a lot of different questions around that. And will Salesforce pivot? Like that's always been the big thing in my mind. It's like, okay, every single company is going to have their own AI agent or AI use. But I'm like, okay, but that means I still have to go into 6 different platforms to use their AI. Makes no sense.
I think
It's
they'll
like,
solve that through Slack or something because they own it. You know?
yeah, but then there's Teams and Slack and like
Yeah.
there's different things too. So it's a pain in the neck there. And I just saw Mark Benioff today in his post talking about I forgot what feature Slack has with something else. But then okay, so here's where it ties all the way back. If you think about it, a Moltbot or an OpenClaw, actually, if you're secure and if you're comfortable with it, can technically do that. Because if you
Yep.
give it really access, if you're a crazy person and be like, you know what, F it, here's my Salesforce, here's this. I'm putting $100,000 in Moltbot. I need you to do this. And I'm like, I'm waiting for that one person who just says, you know, F it, go knock,
Yeah.
go to town. And
Has a disposable income to be wrong.
yeah, and just go rock
Yeah.
the entire thing. Or some crazy CEOs like, you know what? Let's go do it. I don't know what that looks like, but I feel that would be where we're headed to, where that personal assistant can just like go to every single thing and do it and create their MCPs if they need it. It's like, you don't create the MCP. It's like, hey, I can't access this. You know what? I'm going to build the MCP to access this because that's how I know. That's where I'm thinking like that's where OpenCloud it'd be kind of neat to see that.
I think finding that person is easy. Finding the person's customers who are willing for that person or clients who are willing for that person to do it, that's where you're going to get like, oh, no, cool idea. No, don't put me in the pilot, right?
I'm just going to stop it there because like we're 107. That's a long show for us. So I'm going to wrap it up. It also makes it harder for me to edit the longer these shows get. So, guys, it's hurting me. So we'll wrap it up for today. We'll be back though, but it's only Tuesday. We still got all Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to have all sorts of amazing continue on conversations. Thanks, Ann, for hanging out with us today. Thanks to Andy, Beth, Karl, and I'm Brian. Thank me too for being here. We'll be back the rest of the week. So come on and hang out with us. Thank you to everybody in the comments. You guys are awesome. And we've had so many good comments today and we appreciate every single one of them. So have a great day, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.